Welcome, all you entertainment holics out there in entertainment land. It's time yet again for another thrilling, exciting installment of, you guessed it, Wicked Entertaining, coming at you live every Friday night at 6 p.m. Pacific Time. That's 9 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on Rock Rage Radio. And we're also on Rock Rage Live right now. And you can watch us live on our YouTube channel, Get Real Global TV. We're also Get Real Global TV on Twitch and TikTok. And then you can find us syndicated pretty much everywhere that you can watch, podcasts. You can check out our Linktree page to see all of our social media and website links. Just type in at Jennifer DeVoe Muse. That's at JenniferDevoeMuse. And you can check out our radio station, Get Real Global Radio, KGRL, on Spreaker. We're also syndicated on iHeartRadio, Spotify, YouTube Music, TuneIn, Amazon Music, Audible, Apple Podcasts, plus pretty much everywhere else you can watch or listen to podcasts. And we're also distributed by Sony Music Entertainment, Sony Music Publishing, The Orchard by Sony, and 50/50 Global Music Incorporated. I'm your hostess with the mostest, Jennifer DeVoe Muse. Hello to everyone watching or listening to this broadcast around the world. Now let's all say hello to a little person I like to call the sultry songstress, Amy Bowman. Woo! Amy Bowman, what's up with you?
Oh, it's been a great day today. I baked a pie today.
Oh my God, you baked a pie. Apple pie. I think there was a movie about that once.
You think so? Did it involve porn?
This one time at band camp. Anyway.
Oh, shit.
I was just wrong for that. Anyway, we're going to bring on our other wonderful co-host, the Mac Daddy of Metal, Shyler Stavers in the house.
How's it going? See, now I'm just thinking about that pie. Like, that's a really good movie.
He's thinking about pie.
Jason Bateman, he totally ruined that.
Can't wait for the honeymoon. Gina, he wants your apple pie.
Yeah.
Sorry.
What marriage is about, right? I mean, it was pie.
Pie. So. Everybody gets pie.
Everybody eats pie.
Everybody.
And we need to write a metal song called "Everybody Eats Pie."
What if somebody
just a bunch of metalheads eating pie, like a bunch of our metal people just eating pie throughout the whole song?
What if some people don't like pie and they like sausage?
Okay.
We're talking about pie.
Sausage pie.
Tyler likes pie.
Meat pie. There's meat pie.
Hey, mincemeat pie, right?
In case you people hadn't noticed out there, this is an adult show. If you were under 18.
I like sausage. I like pie.
Just wrong. Anyway.
Oh boy.
Anyway. But we're here to have another good time as always.
Yeah.
We got a really awesome guest tonight. It's Scott Ryan. He is an author, a publisher, and an entertainment historian. He's a pop culture historian and an expert on the entertainment industry. So really excited about this one. And his latest book is called The Last Decade of Cinema. And it is about the movies from the 1990s and their influence on everything. So I think that's pretty cool, and I'm very excited to bring him on. So let's bring on Mr. Scott Ryan in the house.
Yay! Thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it. If you're going to talk about pie, though, I feel like you should talk about Sweeney Todd.
Oh,
thank you.
I love Sweeney Todd.
Yes.
Meat pies, the meat pies.
Okay.
Yes.
That's why I said meat pies.
Right.
Meat
That's
pie.
the meat pie. I mean,
Yeah.
Priest,
That was a
having
damn
little
good
priest.
movie.
Isn't too good, at least.
Yes.
So
Yes. See, I
I
love
love
Lord
my
Happy
mind.
already.
Helena Bonham Carter, I tell you. Johnny
stage
Depp
was
did a really good
awesome,
job.
awesome.
But yes. Sweeney Todd's the best. I want to go. Always wanted to see the stage production though.
It's
Because
really
that'd be
good.
Oh, yeah.
It's
Just-
really
Oh,
cool.
yeah, me too.
Yeah. Well, so we want to talk about well, first of all, being a pop culture historian, that's pretty badass.
Yeah, it's really hard to do. You just have to write down in your bio that you are one, and then you are one.
Perfect.
I love it.
It's hard to
Good.
become one.
Okay.
What made you go down that path in life? Like, what made you want to, like, I mean, are you like a professor in college on these types of things, or?
Oh, I mean, the amount I profess is a lot. I profess around the house, on the street corner. No, I just write books. That's
Nice,
all.
I love it.
I write books,
awesome.
and then I hope fools buy them. That's it.
Right.
That's at least you're honest about it.
Yeah.
Hell
I mean,
yeah.
it's okay. No one does. So no one.
Oh,
Well, you know how they have like those college courses where you can go and you can like learn about
Yeah,
cinema
that's
and
horrible.
yeah.
you know.
No, I don't want to teach anyone anything. My books are actually very funny. I try to be very lighthearted. They are not academic at all.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
So no, I have a very light personality when it comes to that. I don't want to. I'm not trying to change anyone's mind about anything. Just have a good
Right.
time and make people
Nice.
think a little bit about the importance of art.
I love
That's
it.
awesome.
Nice.
I love that.
So in this, okay, so have you written about other decades of the entertainment industry in the sense of the movies or genres, or?
No, I've done a lot of books about television. So I did a book
Okay.
about moonlighting with Bruce Willis and Sybil Shepherd.
Oh.
I did a book
Right.
about David Letterman,
Oh,
one
wow.
about 30 something. And then for movies, I did some David Lynch films, Being Lost
Oh, yeah.
Highway and Firewalk with Me.
Okay.
Nice.
Oh, okay.
David Lynch was very interesting. Very
Yeah, he's my favorite.
yes.
I know. So what
Love that.
influenced you to start writing and do journalism and stuff like this? Is just the fun of it?
It's something I always wanted to do. I always wanted to be a writer. When I was very young, I made movies. I convinced my friends to be in movies that I would film. And I never thought about doing nonfiction. But then when David Letterman went off the air, I was really curious about how they did that last show. They had the Foo Fighters on.
Right.
And they performed live to a video that matched. And I was like, how are they matching this? And I just wanted to find out. So I kept reading the executive producer asking for an interview. And it took a year and a half. And she finally said yes. And then we had such a good time. She said, well, you should talk to the editor. So I interviewed the editor. And he said, well, you should talk to the associate producer. And the next thing I knew, I'd interviewed 26 people that had worked for Letterman. And
Wow.
then I was like, maybe this is a book. And so that's how I stumbled into becoming what was I again? I'm a pop culture
historian.
Yeah, that thing. That's how I did it. Yeah.
I love it.
I love it.
That's great. So what made you choose the 90s specifically?
Well, for this book, it had to do with just the kind of movies that I was watching. I really was so sick of superhero movies.
Oh, okay.
And I just haven't enjoyed the kind of movies that have been being made. And so during COVID, there was, what was I going to do? Like talk to my family? That sounds horrible. I figured I'd watch movies. And every movie I watched, I would say, when was this made? And it was made in the 90s. And it made me think, I think this is a book. So I ended up watching 160 movies from the 90s. And then I whittled that down to 55. And then from that, I wrote 24 long essays about those 24 films.
Okay.
Oh.
So can you give me like what you consider to be the top 5 best 90 movies of all time?
Well, it does change on the day, but I do think the ultimate 90s movie is Pulp Fiction.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree.
I mean,
Yeah.
that really changed everything. I mean,
Yeah.
how did you guys feel when you first saw Pulp Fiction?
Just absolutely amazed. Like,
it blew my mind, especially the way Tarantino filmed it.
Yeah.
And how it segmented and it went back and then it went here. You know what I mean? It's like all over disjointed, but you get it. You're like, oh, this leads back to this, and this happened first, and then that, and then it kind of it makes you think, like how the timeline went.
It's the perfect culmination of constructed chaos that I've ever seen. It's
I've always loved this movie,
something so chaotic and so just out there and off the wall and just this and that, but it's still so beautiful as a whole when you look at it. And the slew of characters and cast that was in that movie that made those characters, you wouldn't have really. I mean, you wouldn't have a lot of what we have without those characters.
Right.
You know, a lot of what we stem off of is that Samuel L. Jackson it's got to be one of the greatest roles he's ever done besides Mace Windu, because I'm a Star Wars fan. But.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, that's how I felt when I saw it. I went on a Wednesday afternoon. I was 24 years old. It was me and an old couple that I wasn't with and an old person down front. They felt very differently about the movie as I did. I was laughing hysterically at the foot massage part and when they blew the guy's head off.
Yes.
Yeah.
And these old people were devastated by it. They just were quiet as could be, and I couldn't stop.
Why were they there? Oh my god!
I think they thought, John Travolta was going to sing songs from Grease or something.
Well, yeah, that movie was like his career, didn't it?
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was like the movie that brought him back to like, oh, John Travolta can, I still act.
Right.
Right. I mean, it changed.
Well, don't forget, Look Who's Talking. Those movies kind of started to bring him out of that. It's just this put him in a different light.
Exactly.
Because you've got the other types of movies he's done where, he's a dancer, Urban Cowboy, where, you got Urban Cowboy. You've got the one he did with Jamie Lee Curtis. Was it Perfect or something like that? Yeah. He does like a lot of his movies were more centered around dancing and centered around singing and more theatrical and stuff. And then you got Look Who's Talking, which is a comedy. And it's like a kiddie movie. It's like, it's a feel good family movie. Oh, we all go in and kumbaya and shit. Yeah, and then you've got something like Pulp Fiction, which completely changed the game for John Travolta. Because before that, no one had ever really seen him in that light. He did that movie. He did that movie with his wife. What was the movie he did where they went to Russia and there was like a little town and it was like to look like it was from America, but it wasn't. That's how he met her. That's how he met Kelly
Preston.
That's how he met Kelly Preston.
Yeah.
Was on that movie. But it was like but it was like,
What was that movie where he got like he saw the alien and got touched and changed? He was like super smart.
Oh, Phenomenon. That was great. But as far as like a killer or as like a henchman or as like a bad guy type, it kind of led him to going to, what was that movie he did? Paris is Burning, right? Okay. It led to him doing more of those types of roles, like the hardcore, more villain, more, you know what I mean? Like before that, I saw him in that light. I never saw him as being able to do that type of movie. And then when he did that, and then it's like he transitioned and went from there, and he became like a whole different actor. It like upped his game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think it was pivotal for him.
The name of the movie was From Paris with Love. That's what he was in with his wife.
Paris with Love. That's what it was. It was a great movie though. I'd never seen him like that. Pulp Fiction, it changed my mind about John Travolta.
Right.
Definitely.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so that was one of them. The same year, which this is 1994, was The Shawshank Redemption.
Oh,
God,
yes.
wonderful
Another
movie.
I'd cover.
Love that movie.
Speaking of Maine,
Yeah. So you could have been on the jury that sent Andy Dufresne to jail. Good job.
cool. Rock on.
And you know, in the book, what I cover with what I tried to do is I don't like do recaps of the movie because I figure you've seen these movies. I'm not just going to tell you what they're about. I write them assuming that you've seen them.
Right. Okay.
And what I talk about in that movie is the twist and how the director and the writer really hide what's going to happen, and they don't tip their hand ever. Like, you honestly believe that movie's going to have a harsh, horrible ending. You're just expecting.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
And it's kind of interesting because a lot of 90s movies like Pulp Fiction don't have a happy ending.
Right.
And so that wasn't really the types of movies that were being made in the 90s, but this is one that sort of earns the happy ending.
Yeah.
Very true.
Exactly.
So that was one of my favorites. What about you guys? What are some do you guys have any 90s movies that you really love? Let's see if I put it in my book or if I messed up and I got to start over.
I gotta make sure they're 90s movies.
There's so many 90s movies.
Oh, I've got them going to Google.
It's like there's different genres too.
So to Google it up.
You know what I mean? It's like
top for sure for me is going to be The Green Mile, because that movie.
That was a good movie. Yeah,
that movie.
The Green Mile was crazy.
Tom Hanks, all the people that were in that movie, and the way it was shot and the way it was done.
Another Stephen King production.
It was just such a great story that was told. And the books were. I had the books, and the books were absolutely just wow. But the movie, I feel like for a movie that took all those books and crammed them into what they did, it was so good, so good.
Yeah. So one of my rules in my book was that I could not pick 2 movies by the same director.
Okay.
So since I picked Shawshank, I couldn't pick Green Mile.
Green Mile, right? That makes sense, though.
And you got to go with Shawshank over Green Mile. Green Mile's great, but Shawshank is,
is better.
It's there's a good chance Shawshank is one of the best movies ever made in any day.
Yeah. What about Goodfellas?
Goodfellas. I was about to say that.
It was 1990. It was made in 1990, but it's a cusp. But it's still, I thought that was a great movie.
Yes, that was a great for what it was.
A lot of great lines.
It was amazing.
A lot of great lines. A lot of memorable lines. A lot of memorable scenes. The dude getting shot in the foot.
The book opens with Goodfellas.
It opened my eyes to a whole other world too. I wasn't very old back then. And it just, I didn't have a lot of life experience and was like, wait, there's actual mobby kind of people? Is that real? And it just opened my eyes to a lot of little things.
And then how long were you in the mob after that?
I can't tell you, right? We don't talk about it.
Okay. If I told you, I'd have to kill you.
That makes sense. Yeah, I opened the book. My first chapter is on Goodfellas. And I say, like, the fact that I get to start with Goodfellas makes a pretty good case that the 90s was, a very strong decade for film.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Casino. It's 1995. Yeah. Casino.
Oh, Casino was friggin' phenomenal too.
Yeah.
That was another same type of thing. Goodfellas, Casino. You know what I mean? Like they kind of go hand in hand. Yeah.
Seven got me a lot.
Seven was great.
Was like, what?
Oh, 7 was amazing. That was great. That was great, especially the subject matter, 7 Deadly Sins, and just like how the movie was filmed. Also, I thought Morgan Freeman and Brad Pitt did a great job on that. It was the acting was really good. The way they filmed it was really good. I liked their
villain just
and I liked their examples of the different sins.
Oh, me too.
Yeah.
Blew me away. Me away. Extreme sin.
It's a great movie. I love David Fincher.
Yeah. The Usual Suspects.
Mm-hmm.
Which
So
my wife is obsessed with.
I think I cover in the back of the book in my, because I do 30 short essay, just like paragraphs, because I couldn't narrow it down just to 24. But when I rewatched it, it was good, but when you knew what the ending was, there wasn't anything to write about. So that's why I didn't cover Usual Suspects. Like I tried to pick movies that were a variety. That was the other thing. I didn't want to pick the same kind of movie 25 times.
Oh yeah, no, most definitely.
I tried to get a Western by doing Unforgiven. And then
oh yes, great movie.
I love Unforgiven.
No, great movie. Yeah. Really good. Silence of the Lambs.
Oh yes.
Mm-hmm.
That was a huge movie, especially for Anthony Hopkins and for Jodie Foster. You know, they very career builders.
Yes.
I mean, you know what I mean? I just like the whole framework. You know, we got Buffalo Bill. You've got the whole just like, I mean, it puts the lotion on its skin, or else it gets the hose again. I mean, again, it has some of the most memorable lines of any movie. You know what I mean? Yeah. I ate her liver with a nice Chianti and some fava beans. I mean, come on. Jesus Christ, those are two of my favorite lines in the entire universe of any damn movies ever. I say that all the time about the lotion on its skin. I creep people out, I swear. I do that at work. I do it at work just to fuck with people. I said, look, I'm from Maine. We're creepy. Just fucking fuck with people. Why not? Just to have fun.
Yeah, just keep him in a well. That doesn't make you strange.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't at all.
Exactly. I can't believe that I didn't say anything. But for me, and this is dumb because I should have said it first. So it's gonna start with Clerks, and then Dogma.
Oh,
of course, Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, Chasing Amy. Anything that Kevin Smith did in the 90s is what shaped my childhood. I'm a stoner and a total. If I can ever meet Kevin Smith and shake his hand, I swear I'll probably pee my pants. Like
Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back.
Jason Mewes struggled through addiction and what he overcome to do those movies, and what Kevin Smith fucking put up with to have him in those fucking movies, like all the shit that he went through to make sure Jason was there and to be a part of it.
Oh
and
yeah,
what they did, and how iconic for me, how iconic those movies have still become, like how much they become. Like
they just made a new one, didn't they?
Yeah, they did not long ago.
Which was so good. It was so good.
No, all of those movies, Matt Damon and stuff. Yeah.
You put Dogma in the book. I have to read the book.
Yeah, I put Dogma in. Again, it's in the back. I know that Clerks is certainly more iconic from the 90s, but I actually think
Dogma had more of a punch, though.
Dogma was really good.
I think Dogma had more of a punch. It had more of a. It was very, very like. I think it turned more heads than I think Clerks did. Like that was the one movie he did that it was just. For me it outshined everything besides Jay and Silent Bob. Dogma was so good.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's his best film. I mean, my heart is always with Mallrats because I think.
I'm sorry, I forgot about Mallrats.
But it's not. I mean, it's not as good. It's just that we were young when it came out, so we loved it. Dogma's the better film.
Yeah. Dogma was really good, especially the subject matter behind it. More, the theme to it was, more of a pointed subject matter versus Clerks, where it was just some guys working in a fucking convenience store. I mean, it was stupid. Like the stuff that happened, and it was stupid. And yes, because of that, it led to Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back and the other movies and stuff. Yes, and that's great. But I'm just laughing because Dogma was just more. I don't know.
Yeah,
there was more thought behind it. There was just more to it and more.
Absolutely
right. Plus, a lot.
What do you guys think of
God? So I mean,
right?
Could be more than that. What were you gonna say, Amy?
Yeah.
Well, what do you guys think of Tombstone?
Oh my God, Tombstone!
Great
to this day, I still say I'm your Huckleberry.
I'm your Huckleberry.
Yeah, I'm your Huckleberry is a great line, and Dana Delaney is so beautiful in that movie. She just, my heart goes out to her. I mean, I love Dana Delaney so much. I've got to interview her twice for 2 of my books, and she's so sweet and kind. but yeah, Tombstone is really a good movie. But the funny thing is, I've never seen Wyatt Earp, which I know it's like the same thing, and they both came out. But I'm like, no, it's Tombstone or nothing.
It's really good. It's slow. Wyatt Earp is like slow, like Dances with Wolves. It's super slow, but it's very, very good.
Yeah,
but Tombstone's definitely the better Western.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go with Tombstone. I did cover Unforgiven, as I said. That one was easier to write about. There was a lot of themes in that, but Tombstone's pretty badass.
Yeah.
What do you think of? What do you think of Death Becomes Her?
Oh my God, Death Becomes Her is good.
Yeah, I did not put that in the book. That one's not in the book. It was for special effects. It certainly made a big deal. But what year is that one?
92.
Yeah, early.
Wow.
Bruce Willis, Goldie Hawn. Oh my God, and
Meryl Streep, right?
Meryl Streep. So good.
I feel like I've seen it, but I can't remember it.
It was one of my favorite comedies from that era, and I loved it. Like in the fact of women's empowerment, women taking their power back, their lives back. They're like, "F you to fucking men, we don't need you," kind of a thing. Like, no offense, I'm just saying. Absolutely. It's just that female empowerment type of thing. Like they were saying, like I can be an author, I can be a movie star, I can do this, I can do that, and I don't need to be defined by my husband and who they are.
I think it's also I'm not to cut you off. I'm sorry. I think it's really cool that they used, because Bruce Willis was hot then, right? He was super hot in action then, right? And then they had Goldie Hawn and oh my God, I'm gonna do this wrong. They had them Meryl Streep overshine him so much in this movie. Like it was just for him to be so hot in the world, then and they make this movie where two women just destroyed him in terms of.
They were playing him down because they were playing him down as the frumpy, beaten down man.
Right.
Like he was beaten down, and then he becomes addicted, and he's just like a drunk and a washed up man because he allowed these two women to just beat him into submission. Like this poor man. You kind of feel bad for him though. You're just like, damn. Dude, like,
yeah,
I feel bad for you. Like,
right.
Yeah,
I think I'm gonna have to watch it because I don't remember watching it. Maybe I didn't.
Oh, it's so
you would really like it, Amy. You would love it.
It's on Tubi and stuff like that, but it's really really good.
Okay.
Let's see. Oh, what about The Sixth Sense? Another Bruce Willis.
Bruce Willis. There's another book out that calls 1999 the best year of cinema ever, and there are a lot of great films in 1999, which is when Sixth Sense came out.
Yeah.
Again, it's another one that was kind of hard to write about because it really all comes down to the twist.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sort of hard.
M. Night Shyamalan and his twist.
But I mean, it was such a great film. I mean, again,
I loved it. I think I've seen it a million times now that I'm kind of like over The Sixth Sense. It's like the one movie I'm just like, okay, you're just waiting.
Now you know what the effing end is going to be. It's not as much fun anymore. The first time you ever watch it, you're like, holy shit, that just blew my mind. Oh my God. I totally didn't see that coming. He was dead and he was a ghost. Right? Oh my God.
The whole time?
The whole time. Oh my God, what? And then you're thinking he's talking to him and he's really not talking to him. And you're like, what the hell? It blows your mind when you first see it. Yeah. But after that, it kind of like loses its appeal. It's just not as exciting anymore because the twist has already been ruined. You already know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, Titanic, you already know every motherfucker is going to die.
Yeah.
Right. And
Good Will Hunting?
Titanic is certainly one of the biggest 90s movies, but it's not in my book. And I do say in the front part of my book, I've never seen the Titanic. I put a boycott in back in the day.
You're better that you never did because it was 3.5 hours of a shit show. I'm sorry, dude. As a woman, I'm sorry, that movie sucked dick. Maybe because
You're gonna move out that fucking door.
Because I'm more of a horror, sci-fi, adventure, like action movie. Like I like more, I don't know, harder stuff. Like it was just like this sappy love story, and it's like
one of your French girls, Jack.
It sucked. I'm sorry. I started to fall asleep during the movie. No. I was like, everybody, I said, hurry up and die! Hurry up and fall off the stupid door! Hurry! I want the movie to be over.
I watched the movie and I'm like, move! Just move over. There's clearly room for you.
Fall off the boat, please.
She's like, don't let go, Rose. I'll never let you go, Jack. And then she lets go.
Because she's a bitch.
Can't trust Kate Winslet. People know it.
You're lucky you never saw it.
There are two major 90s movies that I've never seen in my entire life, and I do in my introduction.
What's the other one?
I say, don't expect these to be in here. One is Titanic, and the other is Forrest Gump.
Damn.
So
now Forrest Gump. Wow, I didn't see that one coming. Okay,
I know, pretty controversial, isn't it? Oh,
yeah. Well, yeah, because that was actually a good movie. I actually cried at that motherfucker.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Okay. I went to see another movie, and they showed a preview for Forrest Gump.
Yeah.
And when the preview was over, I remember I screamed out because I was 21. And when you're 21, you're a jackass. I said, we don't have to see that. They just showed it to us.
Yeah.
If you watch that preview, it's insane because they show you everything for 1 minute and 50 seconds. And then the last 10 seconds of the preview, they show you everything. Everything. He goes to Vietnam. She gets AIDS. All this stuff like boom, 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 boom. He loses his leg. He's going to meet the president. And I was just like, I've seen it. And it would piss people off throughout 1994 because they were like, you got to see Forrest Gump. And I was like, I've seen it. I saw the preview. Ask me any question about Forrest Gump. I would be able to. So I put that boycott in back in 94. And I have a feeling in 2024, I bet you that movie doesn't hold up as well as it did in 94. But again, I don't know. I've never seen it.
It was a decent movie. It wasn't like the best movie ever made.
Yeah. There's a book, I believe. I think I read part of the book. I think the book was better, but the movie was just long, very long. It's a very, very good movie if you have the time to sit and watch it. It's long, and it's a lot to cover on anything like it would be a lot to cover on anything like.
Well, if you don't have the time, just watch the preview.
Yeah.
Here's a good one.
I didn't sit through every bit of that movie either. I got so bored. And then I'd come and watch a few scenes and get bored again and leave. Yeah. And I did not like it either. So you didn't miss nothing. We didn't miss nothing.
You're just wrong.
With both of them having never seen either of them. And even for this book, I was like, I should do the adult thing and just watch them because I'm watching all these movies. But I was like, if you put in a boycott and you held that boycott for 30 years. No, I'm a man of principle.
Yeah. Well, hey, it's not for everybody. I mean, I don't necessarily care to go and just watch it just randomly here and there. It's not one of those movies. You know what I mean? Like I watched it. It was decent, but
you love Forrest Gump and you have a well in the bottom of your house that you hide people in. And
yes.
Put a bucket down.
I actually have Forrest Gump in that well right now.
Oh, we'll see.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. That's where he's been all these years.
We don't judge.
He's still wearing the braces. Anyway.
So what about Schindler's List?
Oh, no, I was just about to say that one. Damn you. Schindler's List.
So Schindler's List, I do cover it in the book, but I also said, this is you're not going to touch Schindler's List. So, I would certainly never critique it. It is a masterpiece, but I didn't really cover any Spielberg movies in the book. Again, Schindler's List is in the back.
Right.
because he doesn't need help. Like I
Right.
feel like
Right.
Spielberg's gonna be okay.
Yeah, I
And his
think so
movies
too.
are incredible. He did Jurassic Park and
Ooh.
Schindler's List and one other really big one in the 90s. So he had an incredible time in the 90s, but I thought he'd be fine without me. So I don't cover any Spielberg in the book.
Okay.
Gotcha.
What about Good Will Hunting?
That was mine.
That's why I never saw the
Right back
Titanic,
at you.
because I loved Good Will Hunting so much.
Yeah.
And I was like, why aren't people seeing this instead of Titanic? And it was Pulp Fiction over Forrest Gump, which is why I never would watch that. I was telling people, forget that, watch Pulp Fiction. And then, so that, yes, Good Will Hunting is spectacular. I mean,
absolutely
an incredible movie.
And always Boys in the Hood. 91.
Oh, Boys in the Hood is amazing.
I think that was probably. Go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
In the book, I cover Menace to Society over Boys in the Hood. And I actually got to interview the guy who wrote it.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
Someone
really?
doesn't bring me a drink. I mean, thank you. There we go. And
My beautiful wife.
thank you. What a night. I mean, what a podcast where they bring drinks for you.
close.
We try.
I ain't got no drink either.
Sometimes we smoke or drink on the air. So yeah.
I mean, why not? But I got to interview the guy who wrote Menace to Society. His name is Tiger Williams. And that was a real honor for me because I think Menace to Society is quite a film. And in it, we do compare it to Boys in the Hood and the difference and how he said, you know, if they didn't make Boys in the Hood, they would have never made Menace to Society. People wouldn't have been interested. So
right.
They're both great.
Yeah, I agree. Well, they also had South Central, which was kind of on that same lines of a movie.
Malcolm X is another movie that I cover in the book because I love Spike Lee. He's one of my favorite directors.
Oh, yeah. He's really good.
He loved to push buttons, and that's what I love. I love a movie that makes you uncomfortable and makes you squirm in your seat in a good way, not because someone's slitting your throat or something, but because you're having to think about consequences, and Spike Lee is great at that.
He's good at that.
Yeah, right.
Absolutely.
What about The Crow?
So I do not have The Crow in the book. I didn't cover The Crow because I don't cover horror at all in the book.
Right.
Oh, okay. So
horror documentaries and animation I removed at the beginning because I said they're still making those films. Like they made horror in the 90s, they're making horror now. Animation, same documentary. They didn't need saved. I tried to pick the kind of movies that they're just not making anymore.
Okay.
That's sort of my idea that there used to be movies like Swingers.
Oh yeah.
Which I loved.
That was a great movie.
Yeah.
And
Vince Vaughn, Vince Vaughn, what was it? John
Favreau,
Favreau, yeah, he's great.
Yeah. Hard to believe that guy, booted the MCU.
I know, isn't that crazy?
Isn't it nuts to think that guy?
And then he's the driver. He's the driver and shit.
I go back and watch movies of him, and so The Replacements is one of my favorite Keanu Reeves movies, and he's a lineman and just this crazy psychotic dude. I'm like, and I always tell people that guy right there is the dude that gave you the MCU.
Yeah.
It's like when you look at Seth Green. If you watch Buffy, anybody who watched Buffy in the 90s, knowing where Seth Green got his start, this guy, this little kid, is the dude that is now one of the greatest voice actors and writers for comedy cartoon shows in the world.
Yeah, I'm a massive Buffy person.
Me too.
I'm watching Buffy right now.
A huge Buffy person. You're making me want to go back and watch all 7 damn seasons.
And I'm doing that right now. Watch Angel when you watch Buffy as well?
Yes, always.
Yeah, of course, because you got
always. They go hand in hand. You can't watch one without the other. Great. Angel's great too. Yeah.
Gina and I are currently watching all 7 seasons of Buffy right now.
Yeah, you're making me want to go do that. I just finished Game of Thrones again.
Oh wow!
Again, yeah.
I like that.
Doing American Horror Story right now.
Are you planning on? Do you have an idea to do plan on doing like TV shows from the 90s, or going back and do like TV like shows specifically?
This is why I'm not a successful author. I never do the same thing next. Because that's what I should do. And so many people are like, "Are you going to do this with music? You should do this with 90s music." And I'm like, yeah, I already did a book about the 90s. I would never do another one. But that's what successful people do. They just keep doing the same thing over. And I'm like, the last decade of fast food, the last decade of cars, the last decade of wearing pants. Do it until you're so sick of it. And everyone will be like, hey, it's the last decade guy. That's all he does the last decade.
There you go. That's your niche. The last decade.
Never do the same thing twice.
Doing something stupid next. Something stupid no one's interested in. Send me in.
All right. What other movies did you cover in the book then?
So we
left out certain things like the animation.
What did you guys think of Eyes Wide Shut? Were you able to go down that thing? Did anybody watch the top?
That was a very interesting movie, especially with Nicole Kidman, because it was his spouse at the time. So I thought that was even more of an interesting dynamic that he did it with someone he was actually physically with, in real life. So I thought that was cool. And people don't realize how much of an underbelly there is in the entertainment industry, especially in Los Angeles. There's like a huge network, like it's a whole BDSM scene, swingers scene. Like, I'm not going to tell you why I know these things, but I do know these things. I have not been
invited to this, and I'm a.
I'm just going to say I know these things. I'm just going to say I know these things. From being in the entertainment industry and working in those other industries. But there is a whole underbelly, a whole scene like that people don't realize. And especially with like the wealthier they are, the weirder they are. And the more eccentric they are, and the more kinky and fetish they are. And a lot of people don't realize stuff like that. They just see people on TV or in movies or whatever, and they just think in a certain way or that they're a certain way. And it's like, you don't know. Right. You don't know. Like there's this whole like underbelly. And that movie really kind of shows that.
Yeah, it was the movie that I was most afraid to write about because I wasn't sure I was really smart enough. And then I just decided, you know what? I'm not going to explain it because I don't know that you can just like watch it and explain. Like you just have to pick what it says to you. And to me, the movie was really about boredom. That Tom Cruise's character was so bored in his marriage that he was just looking for anything. And then all these rich people are so bored that they have this underbelly. And so once I kind of stumbled upon that, I was like, okay, I can write about that as a piece. But there's so much in that movie, and a lot of people have dug deep and say like, oh, this means that, and the fact that there's blue here means that it's all about corn, and I'm like, what the hell are you doing?
Okay, they're giving it too much credit. It's not as deep as all that necessarily.
Yeah.
And wasn't it one of the last things he ever did? Stanley Kubrick?
Yeah, he died before
that was the last thing, right? Yeah, I thought so. I've always been a Stanley Kubrick film buff person. I fucking always loved his goddamn movies. His stuff always spoke to me, like The Clockwork Orange. You know what I mean? It was just out of this fucking world. And The Shining, when he did The Shining.
Right. I love The Shining. There's just
the way
The Shining's so good.
Filmed things, the way he directed the actors. You could really tell that they went outside their comfort zones. That they really pushed the boundaries of themselves. Because think about that with McDowell in A Clockwork Orange. And what you would have to do to push yourself to the point where you could act something like that.
Well, it wasn't just the
raping, beating, torture. The stuff that's in that movie would break most actors to play. That's like emotion at its rawest. And something like Eyes Wide Shut is like a whole nother element of the Stanley Kubrick thing. But I mean, it was just, you could tell it was his style, the way he filmed it. You could definitely tell it was signature him.
The way that Kubrick used scenery to create horror, like, I mean, there's a lot of, a lot of character horror, a lot of that, but the way that he would use scenery, just your images and scenery, and way he would use a room to create the feel of just the hair running up the back of your spine. I mean, it was the way that the way he shot things, the sounds he used. It created an element of fear that no matter how many times you watch it, you're captivated, because even if you know what's coming, that just the thought of being in that place, walking through that place, is just terrifying. It's to anybody now. Even now, you see that carpet on anything, you're like, oh my god. It's great.
I was thinking about the carpet when you were saying that. You could just picture that carpet in The Shining immediately.
Yes,
exactly.
That's right.
It's beautiful the way that he would shoot, and then like to be in his mind and think like this is scary, and then you feel it like, holy shit, I'm scared. And then to see what Jack brought, what they brought to the acting side of it, it just blew it up. And that's why it's still today one of the greatest horror movies of all time.
Makes me want to ride a big wheel.
Yeah,
makes me want to do. Makes me want to go ride a big wheel.
Yeah, why not? We could have done the show on big wheels.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah,
awesome.
Pretty good
That's
idea.
a good idea.
Sounds like an episode of South Park. In fact, it was.
Oh yeah, the South Park movie came out in the 90s, or was it the early 2000s?
No, it was late 90s. It was like bigger, longer, and uncut. It was like 1998.
Yeah.
But no animation.
But he said no animation.
Yeah, that's right, no animation. Yeah.
That went up.
Because one thing is, I knew I was going to have to watch a lot of movies, so I had to jettison some things.
Right.
And still I watched 160 movies, which was kind of a lot.
That's a lot.
At first, I was going to write it more by genre, just like have a chapter on comedy and a chapter on action and things like that. But then I decided that wasn't the right way to go, because I would watch a movie like, Magnolia, and then I just wanted to write about it. I didn't just want to have like a couple sentences about it.
I got you.
Okay.
What were some other movies that we haven't brought up yet?
Another one was Reality Bites, which is also from 94. And I got to interview the writer of that movie. Helen Childress is her name. That's the only movie she's ever written.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And that movie is very much about the 90s, which is why it was a good pick, because it's one of the few movies that really capture that time frame. Another one is Before Sunrise.
Okay.
With Ethan Hawke. I don't know if you guys seen that one. It's
maybe it didn't sound familiar.
Check that out. Before Sunrise. Okay.
Yeah.
So that is a very romantic movie. It's by Richard Linklater, is the director. He did Boyhood recently.
Okay.
So that is sort of my romance pick. And it's a lot of talking. And then Big Lebowski. There's no way.
God, yes! I just watched that the other night just because I wanted to. I showed it to my husband because he never watched that before. He's a black man from South Central. You really fucking think he's seen the Big Lebowski? Come on now. That ain't some movie he was gonna watch. So I showed it to him because I thought he would find it was funny. So I showed it to him. He's like, "This is actually pretty funny." He appreciated it. So see, I brought some culture, but he brings culture to my life all the time too. Movies I might not have ever watched, or music I might not ever have listened to, or artists or something. So you know what I mean? Yep. I like that. Finding other cultures and other things and learning about other stuff from other people. I don't know.
Both my kids love The Big Lebowski. Love the movie. Watch it all the
That
time.
movie's so stupid. Fucking John
such a
Goodman
good
just
movie.
yelling through the whole thing, just kept yelling at Scotty. You're
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
like,
Steve Buscemi and
Steve Buscemi was amazing in that movie. Oh my
Yes.
God, I
and
love
they gave
him.
John Turturro his own spinoff. Like,
Yes.
Yeah.
But Steve
Yeah.
Buscemi is such an underrated actor.
oh,
He
amazing.
really is. When I saw Boardwalk Empire, it really changed my fucking whole outtake on him. Like but even just like, okay, speaking of 90s movies, okay, he was in a bunch of Adam Sandler movies in the 90s.
Right.
You know what I mean? You know what I mean? You got Big Daddy, and then, you know, he's in a bunch of other
all
ones.
of them, except for
Pretty much everything from at least Big Daddy on. I don't think he was in anything from before Big Daddy, but I know Big Daddy and beyond.
Yeah,
he has been for sure. Because I don't remember him in Billy Madison, and I don't remember him in.
Yes, he was. Yes, he was in Billy
Happy
Madison.
Gilmore.
Yes, he was. He was the stalker in Billy Madison.
Yeah.
Oh, you're fucking right. He was.
Yeah, and he's in Happy Gilmore.
Damn.
But yeah, Steve Buscemi is great, and obviously he's in Reservoir Dogs, which is another.
Yeah.
Oh, Reservoir
Yeah.
Dogs. How could I forget that one? Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Reservoir Dogs is amazing. I love that movie. I used to
Another
have the
great
10.
Tarantino.
It
Yeah.
came in, the DVD came in like a kerosene can 10. The special
Oh,
edition.
really?
Yeah. We had it for years.
Dude, that'd be awesome. Wow.
And that was another thing I write about in the book is just watching DVDs over streaming. There was something fun about going to the video store and looking and talking your friend into, come on, let's get this movie. It's going to be good.
Oh yeah, it was like a night out. Like you would go out, you would pick out the movie or movies you wanted to watch, and you would all go home and have like a viewing party type of thing with your little DVDs. And I mean, you can still do that with streaming, I guess. But yeah, it was a whole different time. It was a different world. Even just like the world when you had VCR tapes, when you first, in the 80s and stuff, that was like a big thing. And then, now you got Blockbuster in the 90s, and you got DVDs, and it's just like it was a whole different world. The 90s was a huge game changer for many things. Movies, television, the technology industry alone, like computers starting to become in your home, like a desktop. That was freaking huge. Just so many. Yes, gaming
took off in the 90s.
Just so many things in the 90s just were huge. Just like 90s was like just this big era that just was the ushered in many things.
Yep.
Yeah, so I guess I have to do the last decade of video games now too.
Yes. I'm your guy. I'm your guy. I'll play them with you.
So Scott, we've got you on the path now. We've got you on the path now.
Thank the Lord. Before this, I was I had a lot of interests. I was very wide. I was doing my thing. Now I'm one thing. I'm the last decade guy.
You're the last decade.
Last decade of microwaves. Boom. Next book. Whatever it is. Last decade in front of it. Printing money.
So now you can
but you could do like so many decades.
Yeah.
You could do the 50s, the 60s, 70s, 80s. You could do anything, like so many things.
You can turn around and do the next decade of video games, like do the next decade, talk about what's coming, like the advances in VR and what's changed from, then to now and what's coming, what's coming later.
Nah.
Yeah, I love it.
Well, he also is a host of a show called Tiger Talk. I don't know if you want to talk about that briefly. But local
people are going to be so interested in it. They're going to be riveted. So I do host a show about the Massillon Tigers. They are a high school football team in the town I grew up in, and I host with the coach's wife, and we have the coach and two players on.
Awesome.
And he and the host really don't know anything about football, and we interview the players, and I do comedy skits in front of the credits on whatever's going on in town, or whatever happens at the games that I can stumble upon. And it's really starting to take off in town because I don't know anything about stats. We don't talk about any of that. It's just all nonsense. Where
awesome.
I try to get these 17 and 18-year-old tough football players to crack and
That's cool.
talk to me. So honestly, the town will understand that they're not professional football players. They're high school, and it should be fun.
Kids.
And it's really starting to take off. We've been doing it for 3 years now. We wrote a book about the team called Maslin Against the World, and it really sold really, really well in the town. And so it's been so much fun.
That's good.
But now I'm going to call it the last decade of football.
That was the funny part, though, was that you have a podcast where you talk to football players, but you don't know anything about football. I love it.
Yeah, we actually play a trivia game where they would ask us football questions and they would beat us every year. We stopped doing it because we couldn't answer. I was like, we got to get a new game because we're just getting, and it was making the viewers so angry.
Why?
So like, I have a skit planned that we're going to film in a couple weeks where an executive is going to come in and say the show can go to ESPN, but they want me and the host to just start talking about football more. And then we're going to be like, good idea. So who's your favorite friend? Monica or Rachel? And we just won't do it until the guy storms off. These are the dumb things I filmed during the week.
I love it.
And we do that.
Awesome.
It's so stupid, but
awesome.
I love it.
But that's nice. That's good that, you guys are supporting the local football team. So that's really good.
Yeah. I mean, as long as I can't make money off it, I'm in.
Can you tell everybody where they can find your book?
Sure. This is, I got a copy of it right here. It's The Last Decade of Cinema. They can go to tuckerdspress.com and I will sign it to you if you buy it there. You can also go to Amazon or your local bookstore. It's out everywhere, being ignored across the country. So feel free to ignore it in your hometown too.
You'll be all right. I don't know. I think it sounds like a fascinating book. I would definitely read it. Especially where it's a really iconic era for movies.
Yes,
so
definitely.
I think that it would be a great read. Definitely.
No, it really is. It's very funny, and I do a audio book as well, so it is on Audible, and I read it myself. Nice. So I make sure to land my jokes. As you can see, I have a lot of sarcasm, and that sarcasm just pours out in the audio version.
But that's great.
That is good.
It's great. I'm one of the most sarcastic people I know. But but sometimes that can make you a funnier person.
Right.
Somebody the other day said to me, I don't want to be sounding as cynical. I said cynicism and sarcasm are not the same fucking thing. Get that right.
You are 100% correct because I'm very hopeful and positive. I just know it's not going to happen.
I love it. Well, can you tell everybody where they can find you for social media, like website, social media sites?
Sure. I'm on Twitter as @ScottLuckStory. On Instagram, probably The Last Decade of Cinema. It's something like that. You should be able to find me that way. And my home address is, wait a minute. Don't try to trick me into that. Nice try, you. And then my website is yeah, sure. My phone number, whatever you want.
Mom's favorite pet.
Movie I left out of my book. My website is scottryanproductions.com.
Nice. And I think I saw you on Facebook also as Scott Ryan Productions, so I tagged you on there also.
Yes.
And I shared a link, everybody, to the podcast for Tiger Talk. So go check that out as well. And then also go check out his book, The Last Decade of Cinema. So very excited about reading that. So go check it out, especially, maybe he'll make some more books about other decades or
Oh,
the last decade of music, or I don't know. Well,
for the 80s, it's going to be the last decade of Hammer Pants.
There you
Nice. Do you have any books that you're thinking about writing next? Any?
Yes, I'm actually just about finishing up my next book. It comes out in June, and it is about the music of Twin Peaks, the David Lynch television show.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It's been really exciting. I've got to interview like the guy who played the saxophone for it and the piano and just all these people who have never given interviews before about creating that iconic soundtrack that was incredible. From
Now, just the original Twin Peaks, or the remake as well, or the new one? You know,
all
like
of it. There's 290 songs in all of Twin Peaks, and I cover every one of them.
Awesome. One of my ex-girlfriends was in the reprising of Twin Peaks. She played the waitress in the diner.
I thought I was matching a Mick.
I'm trying to remember her name. No, it was
Heidi. Did she play
Heidi? In the newest one? No, Mildred. What was the name of that character?
Well, there's only two waitresses. One is Heidi and one is Shelley.
Hold on.
And I know the girl who played Heidi. I have met her. I think she's in my.
It was in the newer. It was in the new Twin Peaks on Showtime.
Return. Yeah.
I'll think of it.
Yeah. Let's just bring the whole podcast to a stop.
Yeah.
Let's all just think about
it. But anyway.
Well, that's very exciting. So thank you. Yeah, that's my next project.
That's awesome. Okay.
Well, that sounds great.
All right. Well, so you said June of next year. We're going to see that
June 2025. It's called Always Music in the Air.
Oh, nice. Cool. I like that. Well, everybody go check out his new book, The Last Decade of Cinema. Go check out his podcast, Tiger Talk. And, well, just biggest thing is share, like, subscribe, and follow all of his projects. And go Scott Ryan. Was it Scott Ryan Productions?
Yep.
.com? Heck yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much for being on the show tonight. We appreciate you.
Thank you very much.
It was so much fun. And Amy, you talk too much.
I always do.
We try to get her to talk more, but she just sits there.
She pops in with a question.
My face tells the story.
You're the new silent giggle.
She's interested. Amy's the one taking notes.
Okay, that makes sense.
You're going to accuse me later.
Yeah. She's the new silent silent
You're going to remind me later.
All right. Well, I want to thank my wonderful co-host, as always, the sultry songstress, Amy Bowen, and the Mac Daddy of Metal, Schuyler Staver. We'll be back tomorrow with another Desiree Duffy classic. No, we're going to have Lee Lindauer. He is also an author. This is more in our realm of the horror, sci-fi, and fantasy. So come on back tomorrow for Fear and Fascination, Horror, Sci-Fi, and Fantasy Unleashed, as we talk to author Lee Lindauer. And we're going to have more exciting times tomorrow. 4 p.m. Pacific time, that's 7 p.m. Eastern time on Get Real Global TV and Get Real Global Radio, KGRL. We'll be back next time. Thank everybody for watching. Stay safe.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.